In the heart of Nigeria, surrounded by ancient forests and rolling hills, lay the village of Ayamo. It was a place where traditions thrived, where every face was familiar, and life moved to the rhythm of drums and songs. At the center of this vibrant community stood Babatunde's Feast House, a restaurant famed across the region for its irresistible food and the warmth of its owner. Babatunde, with his radiant smile and flowing agbada, was a man admired by all. Yet beneath the welcoming atmosphere of the feast house, whispers of strange occurrences lingered. Some villagers grew weak, others vanished, but no one dared question the respected Babatunde, a man admired for his kindness and hospitality. One young man, Ayamo, was different. He couldn't ignore the unease he felt after his best friend, Timmy, disappeared following several visits to the feast house. Ayamo's instincts told him something was wrong, and he was determined to uncover the truth. Leaving his own village, he set off for Ayamo with a single purpose in mind, to find out what had happened to Timmy. As Ayamo walked through the bustling streets of Ayamo, the vibrancy of the village contrasted with the weight in his heart. The market was alive with color and sound, vendors selling their goods, children playing, and the aroma of food filling the air. But Ayamo could not focus on the beauty around him. His thoughts were fixed on Babatunde's feast house and the mystery that awaited him there. As evening fell, Ayamo arrived at the famous restaurant. It glowed warmly in the twilight, its walls adorned with tribal designs that told stories of the village's past. The sound of laughter and conversation spilled from inside, and the smell of roasted meats and spicy stews was almost overwhelming. Babatunde greeted Ayamo with the same wide smile he gave to all his guests, inviting him inside to try the special dish. Ayamo sat at a wooden table, his eyes scanning the room. Villagers were happily eating, their bowls filled with steaming food. Yet something was off. Their faces were pale, and their eyes seemed distant, glazed over as if they weren't fully present. Ayamo's suspicions deepened. When Babatunde brought him a bowl of pounded yam and egusi soup, Ayamo hesitated but then took a bite. The flavor was like nothing he had ever tasted, rich, savory, and perfectly spiced. For a moment, all his doubts vanished, and the only thing that mattered was the food in front of him. But as he ate, a strange sensation crept over him. His limbs grew heavy, and his thoughts became clouded. The room blurred, and a distant hum replaced the lively chatter. Ayamo realized, too late, that something was terribly wrong. The food had a hold on him, and it was pulling him deeper with each bite. Summoning all his strength, Ayamo pushed the bowl away. His body trembled as he forced himself to stand, his mind fighting the spell of the food. He staggered toward the door, his legs heavy as if weighed down by stones. Just as he reached the entrance, Babatunde appeared beside him, his smile no longer warm but cold and calculating. "Leaving so soon?" Babatunde asked in a smooth, dangerous voice. Ayamo muttered something about needing fresh air and stumbled outside. The cool night air hit his face, clearing his thoughts a little, but the pull of the food still lingered. He knew he had to get far away from the restaurant. As he reached the edge of the forest surrounding the village, he collapsed against a tree, trying to steady his racing heart. It was then that Ayamo remembered the small vial tucked safely in his satchel, the one his grandmother had given him before he left his village. "Take this with you," she had said. "It will protect you when the time comes." The vial contained a powerful liquid medicine, made from herbs and sacred plants his grandmother, the village healer, had prepared for him. With trembling hands, Ayamo uncorked the vial and drank the bitter liquid in one swift motion. It burned his throat, but almost immediately, a warmth spread through his body. His limbs regained their strength, and the fog in his mind lifted. Ayamo felt a protective barrier form around him, shielding him from the dark magic that had tried to ensnare him. Now fully alert, Ayamo watched from the shadows as Babatunde slipped out of the feast house and headed toward a hidden door at the back of the building. Ayamo's heart raced. This was it, the moment his grandmother had warned him about. He knew he had to follow, no matter the danger. He moved silently, creeping down a hidden pathway that led deep into the earth. The air grew thick with dark energy as Ao descended into an underground chamber. The room was dimly lit by flickering torches, and the walls were covered in glowing symbols that pulsed with a sinister light. In the center of the room stood Babatunde, his back to Ao, chanting in a language Ao did not understand. The scent of burnt offerings filled the air, and Ao could feel the presence of something far older and more dangerous than the man before him. Just as Ao prepared to confront Babatunde, a soft voice echoed in his mind, his grandmother's voice, warning him to be cautious. She had always spoken of forces beyond human comprehension, and now Ao understood. This was more than just a man's greed for power. Dark spirits and ancient forces were at play here, and Ao would need all the protection his ancestors could give him. He gripped the pendant around his neck, feeling the strength of his grandmother's blessing. Ao's sharp eyes soon spotted a large, ornate chest near the altar where Babatunde stood. The chest was covered in strange markings, and even from a distance, Ao could sense it was the source of Babatunde's dark power. He knew he had to get closer, but one wrong move could alert Babatunde. With silent, careful steps, Ao moved toward the chest, his hand gripping the small dagger he carried, an heirloom blessed by the ancestors for protection. As Babatunde raised his hands and called upon the dark spirits, Ao felt his heart pound in his chest. But the protective medicine from his grandmother coursed through his veins, keeping him grounded. He could feel the presence of his ancestors with him, giving him the courage he needed. Ao knew he needed a distraction. He spotted a large ceremonial drum near the entrance of the chamber and reached into his satchel, pulling out a small enchanted stone his grandmother had given him. Whispering a prayer, Ao tossed the stone toward the drum. The drum let out a loud, resonant boom echoing through the chamber. Babatunde froze, his head snapping toward the sound. For a brief moment, his attention was diverted, and Ao seized the opportunity. He rushed to the chest, his fingers quickly working the intricate lock. The moment it clicked open, a wave of dark energy burst forth, knocking Ao back. But he stood firm, the protective medicine shielding him from the worst of the force. Inside the chest, Ao found an ancient stone tablet covered in glowing symbols, the source of Babatunde's power. Without hesitation, Ao raised his dagger and brought it down on the tablet, shattering it into pieces. Babatunde whirled around, his face twisted in fury as the chamber shook with the destruction of the tablet. "No!" he screamed, his hands crackling with dark energy as he advanced on Ao. But Ao stood tall, his dagger gleaming in the torchlight. "It's over, Babatunde," he said, his voice steady. "The ancestors will not allow you to harm this village any longer." Babatunde lunged at Ao, but the power of the ancestors, combined with the protection of the medicine, formed an invisible shield around him. Babatunde's magic fizzled out as he struck, and with one final blow from Ao's dagger, the dark ritual came to an end. The chamber fell silent, the glowing symbols fading into darkness. Babatunde crumpled to the ground, his power gone. The next morning, the village of Ayamo was abuzz with the news of Babatunde's downfall. Ao explained everything to the village elders, revealing the dark magic that had enslaved the villagers. The feast house, once the pride of Ayamo, now stood abandoned, its doors closed forever. The villagers, freed from Babatunde's spell, slowly regained their strength. They mourned those who had been lost but celebrated Ao's bravery. He had uncovered the truth and saved them all from the dark enchantment that had held them captive. Ao became a hero in Ayamo and beyond, his story passed down from generation to generation as a reminder that even the darkest magic can be broken by truth, courage, and the strength of the ancestors. In the light of a new day, Ayamo learned an important lesson: no matter how enticing something may seem, the truth will always come to light. Evil, no matter how cleverly disguised, can never truly hide from the courage of those willing to fight for what is right. Ayo became a hero in Ayamo and beyond, his story passed down from generation to generation as a reminder that even the darkest magic can be broken by the power of truth, courage, and the wisdom of the ancestors. Moral lesson: the story of Ayo teaches us that courage, honesty, and the strength of ancestral wisdom can overcome even the darkest forces. No matter how powerful or tempting evil may appear, truth and righteousness will always triumph.